Good afternoon,
Blog
everybody.
Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jerry Siegel on behalf of the Time to Play Foundation with today's podcast on business success, getting through the holiday slump. Let me first say that I happen to be in the business of management training and development, executive coaching, and one of the things that we're going to be touching on during today's podcast is the idea of setting goals for 2016, and the holiday season would be a good time. If anybody needs to have any assistance in that regard, I can be reached at 516-364-1116, extension 21. And let me say that this podcast is being brought to you by the Time to Play Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to help people enjoy their life, help people learn to do things differently, to change how they think, and to have work-life balance as well as more time to spend with their loved ones. This web podcast is done on behalf of those who are interested or proactive enough to take time to listen. There'll be a number of us on the call today, and we will be talking about some of the ways to get over the holidays in terms of achieving more success in business during that time. On the line we have Doreen Guma, the founder of Time to Play. So Doreen, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Doreen Guma, and the intention behind the Time to Play Foundation is an advocacy organization to provide a hub of resources for people so we can all enjoy life. And the Time to Play philosophy is you have to be happy, healthy, have money, and a work-life balance. Try to have that balance in life. We were talking about that before we started. Make sure you take care of yourself, and you can have the best life ever. We're very powerful people, and that's me.
This is John Hill. I'm on board.
Hey, John.
Thank you,
How are you?
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, John Hill. I'm the founder and president of Long Island Events for Small Business, and in my other life, I'm J.H. and Associates. I'm a trade show coach and business consultant.
Okay. Gina, why don't you say hello?
Hi, my name is Gina Lollo. I'm a realtor with the Gladstone Group, and I am in the relationship business.
So just as a quick point, the podcast, the Empower Half Hour, is collaborative with the Long Island Strategic Alliance and also of the LIASB, John's both brainchilds, and also Jerry's ODNLI, the Organizational Development Leaders. So basically what we are here is just people that have, like Jerry and John, have like tremendous, and Gina, tremendous business experience. I am a small business owner for the past 10 years, and we can have the best life ever as a business owner. We just have to kind of use the tools at our disposal in order that we can. So we have some great things to cover today in today's podcast. So Jerry, you want to start going over how we can make sure that we successfully get through the holidays. One thing I just wanted to throw out there is, people always complain, oh, it's holiday time, it's summertime, it's not a good business time. And you know what, there's always something. And yesterday during my diabetes prevention class that I teach on Monday nights, that was actually part of the discussion. Oh, this is the worst time to do this program. No, it's a life change. There's always going to be something, somebody's birthday or a vacation where you're going to have like an eating issue, and there's always going to be something that comes up that's going to affect a person's business. And we did have a discussion a couple of days ago regarding change and always being on the cutting edge and the cusp. So I think that that's really important to keep in mind.
Well, Doreen, those certainly are extremely good points. And again, when we talk about this time of the year, because it can be a difficult time for many people because of the holidays and all the additional things that they may be doing, they neglect to focus on the business. But this is really the time to plan for 2016, because next year is going to be here before we know it. We're only a little more than 2 weeks away, and as I mentioned in the opening, certainly time to set your goals for 2016. The holidays offer a good time to sit down and spend time by yourself to write down those goals and decide what you want to accomplish in the next year, and then start developing plans of action in order to reach them. I mentioned, John, go ahead.
Before you go into setting your goals, you have to finish off this year before you go into setting your goals. And I'm talking about that. Many times at Christmas time, they send out cards to everybody, and some of them are so cold and so uncaring, it's pathetic. They have them run off on a machine, okay, and they have the name of the company printed inside and nothing else. If you really want to make an impression on your customers or future customers and so forth, send a card and write something inside the card. Write it. I learned that from dealing with a lot of people in Europe. If you really want to make an impression on somebody in Europe, you send them a card. Not a telex, not an email, but a real card, and write something in it. That makes all the difference in the world. And I think one of the problems that we have in the United States is the fact that they just go through the motions at Christmas time. You don't know what effect it has on somebody that you write a card and say, thank you so much for your business for this year and so forth. It was a pleasure dealing with you. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you again in 2016. I have done that all my life and in business, and what has happened is I've gotten calls back and say, thank you so much, John, for sending me a card that you took the time to write to me. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Just a point.
I have to absolutely
John,
agree with that. And actually, I'm in the process of sending out many, many, many cards to many of my clients. And I try to customize as many of the cards as possible with maybe pictures of their family that I have taken, pictures of when they first bought their home, pictures of what the house used to look like, pictures of my family, things like that, so that there's that personal touch. I really think there's nothing worse than sending a card with just, the business name at the bottom printed, and I rather send nothing. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think it sends that message that you really care, that you're really putting the time in. And I think this time of the year is the time of the year to be able to do that. And I think that's the most important thing you can do in business and in your personal life, is to just show people that they're remembered and that they made a difference in your life throughout the year, and you're remembering them now.
Absolutely. I agree.
Gina and John, you both have very, very good points, because what you're doing by taking the time to do what you both suggested is showing that you care, showing that they're important to you, and showing that they mean something to you, and as opposed to just doing a routine thing that is meaningless, because we certainly don't have a need to get any additional mail or email this time of year.
That's so true. You're right. You know what? Until you said that way, Jerry, who does need additional mail? And as a matter of fact, I did get a card yesterday that Jim actually put on my desk. And he said to me, he goes, if it wasn't from them, I would have just put it in the recycle bin like all the rest of them. And that's a really massively good point, Gina and John, and Jerry. I mean, seriously, you're making it something that the people are going to stop a moment and look at. They didn't just put it in the recycle bin. And no, we don't need another piece of mail. So, thank you.
I actually use, and I know this is not a spot for send out cards, but it is a utility that I do use, and it's absolutely fabulous. You're able to put all of your people in a database, all of your clients in a database, and you're able to send them cards through the internet, and it gets stamped and mailed and sent right out to them. So from my desk, I can customize it. I can pull pictures from the internet. I can pull pictures from their Facebook pages of personalized events that occurred, and I could send them a card right from my desk. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's good to know. Really is. Well, we have to make our lives easier, too, and that's what Jerry's discussion is regarding the goals and planning, and we did talk about this last week, too, but I don't think it could really be discussed enough the ability for us to know what is the next step. And, 2016 is starting to look like a very promising year, I hope. John, what's your forecast? I know you have your finger on the pulse a little bit more.
Yes, I think 2016 is going to be challenging. I want to sound like a downer, but if you live on Long Island and so forth, it's tough. It's not easy. It's tough being out here. I want to be positive and set a positive mode and so forth, but tomorrow at the LIS3 open house, I'm going to give a whole presentation regarding this and where we stand as far as Long Island is concerned. It's said that Suffolk County is the highest tax county in the nation. Okay, that ought to say something for you. I try to be positive, but when you see, we're third as far as losing houses in the United States on Long Island. That's upsetting to me. It really is.
I agree with that.
The only surprise there, John, is that Suffolk County is higher than Nassau County because of all of Long Island suffers in that regard. But again, the idea is to look at the good side, to look at the positives, and I know that that's what you're going to focus on in terms of your speech that you're making tomorrow. But let's talk about what other things can be done during the holidays, because holidays can be very difficult for many people, because we have been taught that we need to celebrate, but sometimes there are things that you are not able to celebrate. But there are always things that you can do. And since we're talking about business success, let's keep it from a business perspective, and let's talk about things the business can do. And certainly getting out and meeting people and spending time with people and meeting some new people is something that can be done over the holidays.
Well,
anybody else have any thoughts?
Let me throw out my 2 cents on that. I mean, there's a million holiday parties all over the place. And you should pick and choose wisely, because you don't want to go to something and waste your time when it's not necessarily the right mix. And I am excited about, John's event tomorrow, and I, plan on coming. I do also plan on handing out little postcards about the Empower Half Hour Business Success Podcast, because this whole intention is people helping people, and collaboration equals success, and together we're stronger. But also, that's a great place to hopefully meet somebody that you could make an appointment with, that you could do, business with in January. So, yeah, getting out and meeting some new people is a really great idea, Jerry.
John, Gina, any thoughts in that regard?
Well, the best thing, as Doreen said, I think setting up you'd be surprised the number of people that are so lonely between Christmas and New Year's, and they just want to get out and talk to somebody. It's a tough part of the year for a lot of people, and just making a phone call to a few people and say, how the holidays going for you? I hope everything is all right. Makes all the difference in the world. It really does.
I agree.
No,
good
absolutely.
Point.
Absolutely.
So, what other things can be done during the holidays that can be positive from a business point of view, in terms of beyond going out to meet people, beyond helping people who may not be as fortunate as you are? What other things can the business do? We certainly touched on the important holiday cards.
I think reflection is a really good thing to do at the end of the year. Reflect back upon your business. Reflect back on maybe things that you have accomplished throughout the year, and really take a good look at how the year has gone, which does give you time to then, when you're going to sit down and plan your goals for the following year, you have a general sense of where you've come from and where you want to go. So I think reflection is a thing that is nice at the end of the year.
I agree, and
another good
we
point,
actually. Sorry, Jerry.
Go ahead,
So,
Gina. Doreen.
we actually had this discussion. That was our week 9 in our diabetes class last night. Was problem solving, and people can actually Google problem solving process, but there's a cycle called the plan, do, check, act, or act, check, that kind of thing. So you take what Gina's saying and look at, where you were this past year, and if you met your expectations, if you didn't. So identify that. Look at that situation. What did you identify? And what are some reasons, that happened? Like, oh, my business went down. Well, did you go out? Did you go out like you used to? Did you do the cold calls like you used to? Did you do your outreach to your clients like you used to? So look at those reasons, plan, do, check, act, so like you can identify things that you can implement for this next year, which is kind of part of these goals, really. Identify an area where you can make an improvement, reflecting what Gina's saying, and then looking at the next step, which is, again, we talked about that last week. I think that that's so important, but you might have an hour, to go and actually look at the nitty-gritty, things that you don't usually have time to do. And I think that that's a tremendous opportunity for growth for the following year, and maybe even branching into something else and seeing what worked in your business. And John talked about last week, which is it was a great week of discussion, but, where maybe a part of the company is not flourishing where it was. Maybe it's because technology changes or something, but maybe there's another place to move to. What's the next thing that you should be focusing on in your organization? Very important.
Finding out what worked and what didn't work, and finding out why it didn't work is certainly essential, because it needs to be changed in order to achieve success moving forward. And I think one of the things that can be done during the holidays is for anybody who's on the podcast or will be subsequently listening to the podcast to go back through the previous podcast. We've covered a number of different areas on a weekly basis that are necessary for business success, and as we've certainly communicated loudly and clearly frequently, achieving business success is not an easy process. There are always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be roadblocks. There's always going to be setbacks. There's always going to be the naysayers and the people who tell you that it can't be done. But if we think about all the people that have accomplished things that people said that they can't do it, we certainly are enjoying all of those discoveries and inventions, both from product and services perspective at this point in time. So the one thing that we need to do is recognize that it's up to us. We can do it. We can do just about anything we want. One of the things that you can do is eliminate the word "can't" from your vocabulary, from a business point of view as well as from a personal point of view, because there are very few things that you can't do. You may need time, you may need resources, but you know that you can start off believing that you can, and what you believe typically will be what you get. When you believe you can, and when you believe you can't, you're certainly going to find that that's going to be the case. So coming from a positive, coming from the can-do basis is very, very important.
I wanted to throw something out there, which honestly, if it wasn't for Jerry and ODNLI, like I would not have been at this one meeting. He had a speaker that was really, it kind of opened my eyes. And to anybody that's listening to this, if you just look around your room, where you're sitting, listening on the internet, sitting on the chair, looking at your computer screen, the clothes you're wearing, like literally every single thing was the spark of somebody's idea. The guy said the clock, like in the room, the chairs, like, and I have never forgotten that. I thought that was like the most brilliant realization, because, you know, we kind of just use stuff in our day. We take things for granted, and we don't realize the power of our thoughts and our potential. So what Jerry's just saying, people will tell you you can't do, and it might take years, but you keep on. And what is your favorite saying, Jerry, with the perseverance? I'm not going to steal your thunder.
There are the 3 P's that are essential for success in any endeavor, and that is patience, persistence, and perseverance. Because there are only 2 reasons that we don't reach our goals, and that is we don't start or we don't finish. And certainly because reaching a worthwhile goal is very challenging and very difficult at times, it's easy to understand why people don't finish. But when people recognize that they're making progress, when they're looking and reviewing the progress they're making, and when they keep the sight on the goal, they keep the end in mind, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get there, and they're going to be able to reach what they intend, to reach what they want, and to achieve what they want. But as I said, starting from the point of the fact that difficulty is going to be faced. It's never easy. We've talked about the overnight success, but there is no such thing in this life as an overnight success. Business takes time. Everybody that we know that are icons in the business world at this point in time has experienced a number of setbacks, and certainly, probably in most cases, a number of failures. That's part of the process. And the fact that it is a process, because success is a journey, it's not the destination. And we need to appreciate what we have, as Doreen said, and we need to enjoy the things that we're accomplishing while we're doing those short-term goals to reach the longer-term goal.
So I have a question for you guys. In the fact that maybe it's a little bit more quiet, and we had a discussion about always learning and continuous learning, and even somebody had said, I think Bill Gates, right, takes off and he goes and he reads. And I know if you read or you talk about, like, Arianna Huffington, like, she requires people to do learning and education that work for her. Like, are there any specific books or something, studies or something that people maybe could take a day, and just, kind of learn something that they could really help them?
Well, there are so many books out there. There are so many things that can be done, but I think that certainly taking time and scheduling time to read is certainly important. The average American reads less than 1 book a year. That is a sad commentary on our society. But think about what you can accomplish if you are one of the exceptions and not one of the people who follows the guideline and creates that statistic. So that go out and read something, read what you can do, read something about your business, learn something every day. Take time to do that, take time for personal improvement, take time for professional improvement, take time for business improvement. We talk about the fact that the biggest room in the world is a room for improvement, and that's certainly the case, because on average people use very little of their potential. So that whether it's from a personal perspective or whether it's from a business perspective, you need to understand that you need to constantly change what you're doing, because what worked yesterday is not likely to work tomorrow, or certainly not work as well tomorrow. So therefore it needs to be modified, it needs to be changed. Now, change, of course, is not easy, it's not comfortable, but it's part of the process. And that is, one of the things that you can do when you are reflecting on what you did accomplish and what you didn't accomplish during this past year. So that having the extra time available during the holiday season, when for most people work slows down to a large extent because people are in that holiday frame of mind and they're not thinking about business, can be a good time to spend some time focusing on your business.
I agree. I wanted to throw out one more thing, which, is something prevalent and been discussed over these past couple of days between the diabetes class and just in general. But schedule whatever it is into your schedule. And maybe that's another thing Gina's talking about reflecting, but maybe look at your schedule and see in this upcoming year, maybe where you could schedule in an hour, even an hour a week to start, but reading something or, but physically put it on your calendar.
Listen, I love to hear about reading this and reading that, but did everybody take advantage of the books on tapes? I know I have the 3 or 4 discs that I got when I took Jerry's class, and I still listen to those things, and it's been a while since I took his class. But the point being, you'll be surprised how much it is to refresh your mind again from the things that, that I learned then. But books on tapes are a great thing to do because the average ride on Long Island is anywhere from 15 to 25 to 30 minutes, and consequently, you can do a lot at that short period of time.
That's true. Yeah. Gina, you said you have that, right? You do that? Gina?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to mute. I had to mute the phone.
No, that's okay. Didn't
yes,
you say that you do?
Part of the island to the other, so I constantly try to use my time in traffic wisely and love to listen to books on tape. And unfortunately, that's the only way I'm going to get it done because I don't all the time have that kind of time to sit and read, but I do love to listen while I'm doing, something as mundane as driving in traffic. So that's
great.
Yep.
Well, you're using your time
great.
productively, Gina, and as far as Doreen is concerned, when we talk about time, remember that we don't find time, we schedule it. So scheduling time for reading, whether it's setting a goal to read a book during the month or setting a goal to spend 15, 20 minutes, a half hour a day to read, setting a goal to read 3 chapters or 2 chapters or even 1 chapter, or as has been voiced here, using the time that you're commuting, using the time that you're traveling to learn something, to listen to something that is positive, to listen to something that will help you better yourself or better your business is certainly a better way to spend time than to listen to some of the other things that are available on the radio. We might as well use that time productively, especially since there is so much of it, especially here while we're on Long Island.
One of the things that I definitely want to suggest and throw out there is really just trying to get a little bit more organized. One of the things that I've done recently, and I had mentioned it, is I did get a spiral book. And I've been doing stuff for, since 1987. I've worked and had our own company for 10 years. But I never actually, and this was a seed that Jerry had sparked, but I did actually get a spiral book, and I put everything in the spiral book. It has a divider, and I, use one side for one thing and one side for other things. I do still have my little sticky notes. I stick them on certain pages of things that I have to remember to prioritize. So that's something that's really a very valuable thing that we can take this time to get organized so that we're like hitting the ground running every single day. I know, Jerry, you want to mention about the lists that you have and how you do that too, but that's, scheduling time, getting yourself organized, putting the stuff on your to-do list. So if you want to mention about the to-do list, because I think that's also very valuable.
Well, actually, a to-do list consists of daily goals, and it's very important to have your daily goals written, have them specific, and then take the couple minutes a day, and that's all we were talking about, to prioritize so that you're working on first things first. And those daily goals should be those that will help you reach your weekly goals, which will help you reach your monthly goals, which will help you reach your annual goals. So typically the way we do it is we start with where we want to be at the end, start with the end in mind. Where do you want to get to? What do you want to accomplish over the course of the year? And then bring it back on a monthly and then weekly and daily basis so that you're taking action every day. But you are taking the action that is necessary to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And one of the reasons why writing becomes so powerful is that writing crystallizes thought, and crystallized thought motivates action. So that by writing something down, you're much further along the way towards accomplishing your goals. And that is another habit that you can make certain that you develop for the new year, And again, it starts by creating the habit. It starts by doing it. They say that on average we need 21 repetitions doing the same thing every day for 21 days to establish a new habit. And if you're not in the habit of writing your goals, that would certainly be a new habit that you could establish that would be very beneficial in every aspect of your life, personally as well as business. So developing that, getting in the habit of doing that so that it becomes automatic, because one of the issues that we face is we don't think about the way we think. We all operate on automatic pilot. We operate based on our conditioning, and unfortunately much of that conditioning was not the most functional because our parents, other adults did the best they could, but what they did may not have been working for a host of different reasons, one of which is because, as I said earlier, today is not the same as yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be different still. But this time, the holidays, can give you some time to prepare, can give you some time to reflect, and can give you some time to plan so that next year can be what you want to make it. Any other thoughts in that regard? Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up momentarily for today, but we will be back again next week, again from 12 to 12:30. We will be talking about another area of business success. Let me mention, because it wasn't touched on today, that the Long Island Advancement of Small Business here on Long Island has a new entrepreneur group that meets on a monthly basis. Murray Kleiner, who leads that group, is not on today's call. Obviously has another priority that got in the way because she's been on previous calls. But they talk about things that can impact and can help the business achieve greater success. They can be found on the Long Island Advancement for Small Business website, and that information can be handed off to other people you know who are looking to start a business or have just started a business. So it's another resource. We've talked about other resources that are available in the past. You can hear that on our other podcast. But again, let me say that this is being brought to you all by the Time to Play Foundation, and this information is available at any point in time. We encourage you to listen. We encourage you to listen again and again. We encourage you to suggest to your friends that they listen and that they can learn as well, and they can benefit for themselves as well as for their business. Any last thoughts before we finish this call today?
Myself tomorrow is Long Island Advancement Small Business Open House, and anybody that's on, all I ask that you do is register and come. It's free, and I think you'll be impressed with what you hear and see.
I appreciate, honestly, the time that you guys, and again, with the expertise that you offer, that you take to help another person, because the one little thing that somebody says, has the potential to make all the difference in anything of them. It could just be one little spark, one little seed. And thank you so much for participating and helping, so many.
Good night.
Well, thank you, Doreen, for Time to Play. And again, for anybody that wants some assistance, the timetoplay.com website can offer many suggestions and much information that can be valuable. So please spend some time on that website, see what it's all about, and help yourselves as well as helping others.
Absolutely. One last thought. Please do also check out the special offers from our sponsors. We do have people who believe in the mission, vision, and purpose that we're working towards and are part of our Time to Play family, the foundation family. And also, if you have any suggestions, just send me an email. Just click on Contact Us. Our phone number is there and everything. Love to hear from you, and if there's things that you do need that we can help you with the topic, we'll be there to help you with the topic as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Gina. Have a great week.
Okay. Bye-bye.